and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a video quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, they're joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's AEW Dynamite, and what a go-home show ahead of Full Gear, Sidge.
I don't necessarily think it was a great go-home show. I don't necessarily think it was a great show, but I had so much fun with this, and I genuinely, for the first time in some time, there's been some really good Dynamites in this lull period. It's hard not to with a great roster. I felt really encouraged by the direction of certain characters, how some characters felt dialed in. Basically, this is the first time I've thought since in months, oh God, are the Elite back? Are the respective members of the Elite actually back?
They're trying again.
Well, we don't know the extent to which that's true, but it certainly felt like, I mean, they are, I guess in a wider sense, it's almost discouraging that they have to go to these measures, but there was talk of course correction. There was talk of people are saying this, so we're not going to, you know. But it really felt like an acknowledgement, and it felt like a bit of show, don't tell. Last week, there was elements of this as well, that they acknowledged that certain things weren't going particularly well. This is a bit of show, not tell this week, and I was really encouraged by it.
Yeah, I think like the last month or so, including the week where we were moved to do that podcast we did, which you can still find on YouTube, about the state of AEW.
Still relevant.
Yeah, and then like there are other ones out there as well. We're not alone in our criticism. I think most people within the space have had a lot of like varying issues with AEW this year. Even in all the heat of that episode and the various other things that were going on in AEW, I've been a little bit higher on the consensus on account of how low consensus on AEW has been. And I think this week was the culmination of a quietly decent run. I would be lying if I said I was as hyped for Full Gear as I have been loads of other AEW shows over the year. But then anticipation for pay-per-view has been one of their biggest problems in 2023, I think. I just get the sense that a lot more characters are moving in the right direction. Full Gear isn't like any other AEW pay-per-view I can remember. Typically, the feeling of culmination, or if not the end of a program, this huge checkpoint in it. Like, much like when I mentioned on the preview yesterday when we were talking about the big Sega street fight, like, they've just made a few messes, and it's like time to live in the mess for a minute and then clean up and start again. And Full Gear is starting to feel to me a little bit like that. There's an opportunity here to clean up a few messes and maybe end the year on a bit of a high. And you say this all the time with wrestling. It's the last thing you remember. If World's End goes as well as I think it might, with the tournament that's about to start, with the MJF title picture, with the Devil reveal, with a bunch of other things, lots of interesting loose threads, I think like people will reflect on 2023 like in the kindest way they probably have all year.
Yeah. Speaking of Full Gear, Andy and I are doing a bit of a preview of Full Gear later on today, but if you want to know Michael Sidgwick's thoughts, I'll ask him that on the Collision preview tomorrow, as well as him and I speculating as to who the new signing's going to be. But let's dive into this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. I forgot about your catchphrase. It started with Mox and Yuta versus Cassidy and Hook, and as the BCC are making their entrance, no messing about from Cassidy and Hook. They come flying through the crowd. There's brawling, there's head biting as Hook and Yuta manage to make their way to the ring to start things off, as Mox and Cassidy are just fighting through the stands. Hook hits a judo throw on Yuta. Moxley comes in, makes the tag, dares Hook to fight him, and Hook obliges. It's a released German suplex. Mox comes back with a suplex of his own, and Orange Cassidy slowly crawling his way to ringside, basically. John Moxley, I don't know why I was talking about his first name there, goes for the short clothesline, but Hook tries to put him in red rum. He gets saved, does Mox, by Yuta, who pulls Hook outside. Cassidy comes flying in with a dive to save his partner. He makes the hot tag. Top rope diving DDT on Mox. The little kicks that just fire up in intensity. Moxley counters a tilt-a-whirl DDT into a sort of heart attack with Yuta. And we go to break. When we come back, Cassidy's still in trouble. Moxley's mocking the lazy kicks. Cassidy tells him to bring it. Hits a drop kick. Hook and Yuta go at it. Hook hits a Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. They collide with a double clothesline. Both slowly rise to their feet, and Mox just levels Hook from behind. Cassidy has to make the save. Hook hits Yuta with a lariat. Takes too long, though, and Moxley hits him with a cutter out of nowhere. Cassidy comes in, nails Jon Moxley with an orange punch, who is completely unaffected by it, sends Cassidy out of the ring. Hook gets hit with the Death Rider. Yuta gets the seatbelt pinfall victory over Hook, and post-match, Mox gets on the mic and tells Orange Cassidy he is and always will be nothing, and he's going to grind him to dust and regain the International Championship at Full Gear.
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on this, not many of them overwhelmingly positive, but I would say that they got there in the end and piqued my interest ahead of the international title match at Full Gear.
Presumably they are going to add Yuta and Hook as well off the back of this.
Add to the kickoff, potentially. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That's the finish. You can't not do that match now, I suppose.
An AEW title shot off the back of this.
Yeah. It felt like I'd been lulled into something I didn't get with that brawl at the start. It's like, right, okay, cool, like crazed brawl, maybe not a good idea to do on a show with the Like a Dragon match, but, you know, I'm into this. They've grabbed my attention from the off, and then it just sort of descended into this kind of bland, really long-feeling heat spot on Hook, and the crowd were really quiet and cold for this. And there were some nice bits sprinkled in. I did like Moxley, like flailing, selling the threat of that red rum immediately. You know who was good at that? And I never give him praise on any podcasts, so I'm going to do it now. Triple H's Panic Stations, when he got put in a submission. Like, why can't you sell like that all the time? You're kind of amazing at this. So Moxley did a really good job of doing that. Halfway protected Hook in defeat, I guess. But I don't know, I just thought that there was a bit of a false promise with the way the match started, with that brawl in the crowd, and then it got into the ring and got pretty bland and cold and quiet and just there. So it hardly set the tone. I understand in this sort of like post-digital world, there's not really such a thing as, you know how like the respective territories all had a different style because the local market liked something else. Like in the southern states, they really went for some like just proper, unfussy, technical, stiff wrestling. In New York, they liked the big sort of local hero and broad brawling. In Detroit, they liked the hardcore. If such a thing like that exists now in Cali, the home of PWG, I don't know, maybe they like something a bit more effervescent, a bit more. I mean, you saw it later in the night what they did get up for. So maybe this was a misjudged opener. But I've been trying to get on board with Mox Cassidy too. And just, I echoed the same thoughts as everybody else. It just feels like, right, we couldn't pivot. We're not very good at pivoting. We'll just wait for the pieces to come together, wrestlers to recover, and just go again. And I'm like, right, it just felt like such an obligation to me, like a thing to do rather than a thing for me, the viewer, to get excited about. And I love that finish. The eating the orange punch. It's like, oh, that's class. But it makes Moxley look like a badass. It sort of tells the story that maybe Cassidy's still really affected by this like really epic and painstaking title run. And they've built a moment in that match where Cassidy fails to do it again. And then when he does it and rocks Moxley, the idea is people are going to really get behind him, and that's going to create some great drama. So I got there in the end, but I was a bit bored, truthfully, by this match.
What do you make of the no-sell of the Orange Punch? And we said it's means to an end, obviously, to get the match on the pay-per-view. Were you surprised by Yuta pinning Hook?
I was, but I cared less than I thought I might for Hook getting beat. That spot saved this match and probably saved Saturday's, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I was watching this tag match thinking that yet again, AEW have been undone by the confused character dynamics of the BCC. I'll put the lack of reaction to this kind of like flabby middle of this match down to still not really knowing how to receive Yuta and Moxley. Like, obviously Hook and Cassidy are baby faces, so you can do the heels by default thing. But Jon Moxley is too beloved for that, and we've seen that over and over and over again. They have softened Yuta's stance for other BCC-related stories, stuff like the House of Black and whatnot. So now it's like, no, like receive him as a heel again who's trying to stop Hook or whatever, and that doesn't... like. And then also he's like kind of hard a lot of the time, so you don't necessarily want to boo tough guy Yuta. You want to boo pain in the arse, really, and not the guy that's like trying to be, not the guy that Moxley got over in that series of matches last year. So again, I think that's what ruined this. And I'm sat there thinking, I was kind of back in. I'd got to where Sidgwick is with Cassidy Mox a week earlier with those dueling promos. I was back out again halfway through this match. I was like, this is going to affect the match. They're not going to get that all out, like, sort of furnace that they're chasing at the pay-per-view at Full Gear. They're not. And then the no-sell of the punch created the moment, the hook with which to hang this match on, basically. Orange Cassidy's hand is no longer covered in 3,000 bandages from a million title defenses. It's fully good to go, and Moxley just stood it down and shook it off. What's he going to do about that?
Yeah.
There's that match.
Put it in that bucket of glass or whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's that match now, and, like, thank God for it. It fell quite short of my expectations and missed the mark. The BCC...
I wish they would disband.
It does not work, and it impacts stuff. Like, you can have your tastes and you can like things, but I think there is lots of evidence, like this match, of how it impacts, like, the presentation.
It feels like the BCC is now Mox and Yuta when it calls for it. Occasionally Claudio, and Danielson's just off waiting for the Continental Classic.
They are so much more of, like, a loose collective of like-minded individuals than an actual stable that can drive storylines with a true fixed identity. And do you root for them? Do you hate them? I have no idea anymore. One more thing on this. I watched Hook and thought, it's excursion time, I think. Like, I don't think, when he was taking the heat, I felt nothing. Like, I understand he's the cold-hearted devil, that is his nickname, but he cannot really be like that forever, especially when your aura has gradually chipped away and you're no longer that fearsome young killer. I feel like an excursion is overdue for Hook. Like, all the bloody promise in the world, just to underscore that.
Then we got the face-to-face between Hangman Page and Swerve. Tony Schiavone getting ahead of things by saying any physicality tonight, not only will the match be called off on Saturday, but they'll be suspended for the rest of the year. And you get Swerve and Hangman Page coming out, and Prince Nana, obviously. And Tony says, Swerve, how can you justify going into a man's house? And Swerve rips the mic away from him, and then Hangman Page rips the mic away from him, saying he's got the answer. Swerve's a fraud, a phony, a dumbass. Dumber today than he was 2 years ago when he got his dumbass fired.
That was the one bad line, because obviously WWE are dumb for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was the, I agree.
Otherwise, tremendous.
It was scorched earth other than that. He said, he told me 2 months ago he wanted to be world champion, but he hasn't got it in him. He can't cut it. He's not the man he thinks he is. This is why his fiancée left him. This is why his kids don't talk to him.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
I thought, you know that rule about physicality? I think it's about to get broken. By the way, just in case I forget, and I'm sure you two have got a lot to say about this, I love the fact that Swerve didn't say a word here. Says a lot about how confident he is in his character, that he doesn't feel the need
his reactions facially were wonderful.
Paige says, you wanted to make it personal, well, you're a coward. You don't surround yourself with friends or family, but just yes men. If he wasn't such a dumbass, he'd know that Prince Nana is just using him. He comes out, he dances, he sells t-shirt, he makes his living off his back, and then when the show's over, he goes down to the hotel parking lot to buy weed from a high school kid. Nana's reactions here were priceless as well, because he also says, after I beat your ass, Swerve, I'm going to beat yours, Nana. I'm going to steal your weed. And there's a steal his weed chant. Swerve is not a Swerve. Look at me, says Paige. You're not a man, you're a child. I worked with kids for a long time. How long was he a trio with the Young Bucks for?
Yes, my gag. Hang on.
Oh.
Don't sing my gag.
I'm joking, of course.
Very funny.
Yeah. He taught kids a lot of lessons. This Saturday he's going to teach Swerve the last lesson of his pathetic life. He should have never come into my house. We don't need lawyers. We don't need the cops, because at Full Gear, I'm judge, jury, and executioner. I'll take Swerve to spend an eternity in Swerve's house at the bottom of hell. Swerve goes to go for the mic, but Paige's like, Nah, I'm not done. He said, look, tonight's tip was that we couldn't touch one another. They didn't say shh about Nana, though. He nails Nana, mounts him and punches him. And Swerve, obviously wants to do something, but no, he's going to... So he just sort of... beats him up. Swerve's watching as Hangman Page kicks the crap out of Nana. Swerve pulls him away, pulls him out of the ring, and Page is like, well, I still want to kick someone's ass, so he just beats up security, hits a buckshot, and Swerve and Nana are just looking from the ramp. What a promo for Full Gear this was.
Belt him up. That was my, belt him up again. He could do it.
Where's this been? There it is.
I understand that you can't do this all the time.
Yes.
But my God, this recent habit of save it till the go-home show to do the fighter promo. How many, right? I'm going to be your friend again, Hamflet here. How many, like, awesome, venomous, like, he's bad. How many of those promos did Punk cut in the MGF program? Like, every other week?
It was every two. You'd have, like, hard soft every other week with MGF and Punk,
Like, you don't have to wait until the very end to make me want to believe in Hangman Page. Honestly, I was like, buddy, Fox Mulder, I want to believe in the Elite. You ever seen season 1 of the X-Files?
It's goated.
He is so hot.
Yeah, we were.
David Duchovny is so unbelievably handsome, sex appeal. Like, he's got that like laconic vibe.
The Simpsons made a gag on it, didn't they? Where he's like in this sort of speedos for the FBI picture.
He's got that laconic vibe. He's got like the dry wit. And like he's passionate about something. Bone structure, oh my God. I mean, I'm watching
in like a non-pervy way, like the various aliens and that, like are real. In the show, in the context of the show, they're real. And you're like, oh, so he's right as well.
Yeah.
So he's fighting against the man, against the sister.
Yes.
Like Eugene Victor Toombs is scarier than the Undertaker ever friggin' was.
Toombs.
I
watched the first appearance of Toombs the other night. Oh my God. I want to believe in Hangman Page, and he showed me. He didn't tell me they didn't do this, or, you know, we're going to come back, or we're going to course correct. He showed me.
Didn't read his Wikipedia page either.
No. This is absolute class. Like, I understand that you can't do this all the time. A bit more often would not go amiss. And I did very much develop a parasocial relationship with the Cowboy Hangman Page throughout his like low moments, his anxieties, his depression, his lack of confidence. And then I went on that journey with the character, and then he kind of did it again and again. And it's weird. Like, I asked myself the question when I was writing Ups and Downs, whatculture.com/WWE, how many personal crises can one person have? Oh, several, because I have them.
Yeah.
But if you do it too much in storylines, it just becomes a crutch. Like, how much can it possibly like be effective? But what I loved about this is that for too long, Hangman Page has become like that sort of one-dimensional version of himself this year when he's been on TV. And I've missed, I know he still sometimes get it with the lower chyrons, right? I've missed AEW when it wasn't going for broad comedy and skits and slow motion. AEW being incidentally funny, where you're not trying to go for laughs all of the time. Sometimes it's just folded into what you're doing, like Britt Baker in 2020, Paige in the same era, like just incidental comedy.
There was a bit where I remember how one of the funniest things I've seen Hangman Page do is where they cut to him and he didn't realize he was on camera and he was just having a drink and he just turns to the camera. It was great.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they've got that energy. We got that energy, like, finally. The visual of him with a foot on Nana's chest. Stand already. Like, people don't just want Hangman Page to be doubting himself like we all do and have anxieties like we all do and can now finally talk about. Like, the guy's a badass, he's really witty, and the idea of him being that sort of action movie hero for the new generation, he really bottled that energy tonight, and I thought his delivery, his conviction was outstanding. And I don't care about the rubbish plot holes in this program anymore because I am bang up for some Texas.
I think that's a great take. Just 3-dimensional again. Just be 3-dimensional. Like Page on that rise was all things.
Yeah.
He, like, the physical aspect of his game was fighting against.
Stunning.
Was fighting against like these mental like weaknesses that he felt he had, you know. And it was like, no, you can pull all that together because you're a human being, and most of us do it. And a lot of that has been lost because even when the matches have been good, the character's been phased so far back that you've lost that dimension of it, and it did all coalesce here. I'll say this about Page, right? I felt that this Swerve, where I thought he'd done a great job just merely by existing in this program, was that I felt pretty much from Wrestle Dream that this was going to be the making of Swerve. Hangman Page has been a fantastic gatekeeper. He's done the exact right job in standing back just enough to elevate Swerve, because coming out of this, win, lose or draw, we're all talking about Swerve in the title picture.
Well, now I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
not in terms of what Swerve's position, but going into this, if you'd asked me to do the predictions yesterday, I'd have gone, well, obviously Swerve wins. But now this fired up page,
And it does matter, but it doesn't, because wrestling's a business, and ultimately you've got to get Swerve there. And I think this program...
Swerve could lose and do really well in the tournament.
Yeah, and I think that might be how it goes too. And I think that's another reason why you don't get the brackets right now, because otherwise it reveals potential finishes. And Swerve, 2024 was always going to be potentially Swerve's year. So I think you could already measure this Hangman Page rivalry as a success, even if week on week there's been a lot of plot holes or a lot of moments that came so close and then failed or whatever reason. I think this was a reminder of how successful Page can be at very least, if never again as the top guy, definitely as a made man that can help make other top guys. And that's a huge credit for a company as young as AEW and somebody with relatively little television experience as a Hangman Page. I have to give him huge credit because he's not my week-to-week favourite, but what a spot he occupies and what a promo he can deliver in the clutch, as he has today. Yeah. The little detail, by the way, that where this was proper AEW versus the little entrance graphics saying, going to invest in better security. No. Tony's all wrong. The bit in here where he said, look, it's not about police.
We don't need cops.
That's an important line because that's answering criticisms as they should.
I will not press charges if you put me in Texas death with him.
Yeah, it's supposed to, wrestling's so dumb.
It's very, very dumb.
And wrestling matches have decided parenthood of children, they've decided things that the law courts should be getting involved in. But as long as you tell me why the match is replacing, a law court deciding somebody's guilty, I'll buy it. Yeah. And that's what they sold me here.
We go backstage. Lexi Nair's there with Roddy Strong and the Kingdom. Strong calls Cole on the screen. He's just recovering, obviously. He says, Adam, I know who the devil is. It's definitely Max. And Cole's like, I don't care. It's this tiresome.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe you're the devil. That's what the devil would say. And Strong says, no, all my life. I'm telling you, MJF's the devil. And Cole just hangs it.
On one hand, I hate all of this. If I'm looking for positives, on one hand, it's good that Adam Cole's realised I'm bored to tears of this charade. You don't need the wheelchair. You're trying to separate me from MJF. I know what you're doing. If you're trying to place this in a somewhat wrestling-y context, Cole's doing something good, I guess. I just hate all of this. I hate all of this so much. The end.
I think I like speculating who the devil is, and I think it's ruled out Roddy Strong and the Kingdom. I think it put Adam Cole back in the frame as a potential to actually be the one behind the mask. So and as
Selective ruled out Punk and Britt, I think.
Yes.
He knows it's not very good.
Yeah.
And he's just mocking it.
Just taking a piss, isn't he? But
it's just killing time until next Saturday, probably.
Oh, yeah, if anything. Yeah. Is this a defense or not? I feel like I always think about Cody in 2019 as a babyface I didn't like and arenas went ape for, right? That Adam pop in the building.
I know,
and I think this
with a certain terror.
I think this is about the MJF segments, right? These MJF segments are always hot. They do well with viewers, and I know you can just think you can feel whatever the hell you like. But I watch that and I think, I like it, but a load of people don't. It's sometimes maybe just surrender to that noise and accept. But I get Sidgwick's face as well. You don't have to like it even if you hear that noise. But I don't chalk that off as nothing.
I think it's almost nothing. I would say it's low-hanging fruit. It's a silly catchphrase. It's
in-person meme stuff a little bit, isn't it?
It's in-person meme stuff.
Excuse me.
It's a silly catchphrase. Yeah. Right, okay. Here's a example and analogy for you, right? If you go and watch a show, or no, if you watch it on your telly, right, and a prelim heel comes out and says, the Bulls, he's in Chicago, the Bulls, my opponent tonight is going to be about as successful as the Chicago Bulls. Wrestler X, he hasn't won anything big since the 90s either. You wouldn't watch that and think, top heel, money drawing act. You can get reactions from wrestling crowds, and they're not substantive. Yeah. They don't earn money. Like I've said, right, every single time I go to a live wrestling show, I'm always amazed at. If I watched it on television and saw that heel do that thing, I'd just go, eh. When you're there, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
To like, I was booing the hell out of Jack Perry when he did the when he noped the Van Terminator spot.
Yeah.
Just jumped off the rope and was just like, I'm not doing that. I was like, you dickhead, I wanted to see that. It's spectacular, and you deprived me of it, Jack Perry. Just like you deprived me of so much else. If I watched that at home, I would have went, You know what I mean? It's like, there's volume and there's true emotion, and I think get them together, and that's pro wrestling, baby.
That's it. You pay, like, if you see that and think, I want to participate in that, then it's more successful than just, I'm in the building, so I might as well.
Yeah.
And I guess it's trying to discern which reaction is which.
Yeah, there's no emotion. It's just it's like a cheap local sports team pop. It's in that tier of volume, if that makes any sense at all.
You know when they did that run in Canada for a bit? They should do a run in. They should do a run in England for a bit, because that never works. Like, hey guys, what about Manchester City? They suck, huh? And everyone's like, yeah, probably. Like, there's not really
breaking the rules.
Was it Jermaine Defoe at
Aye, at a house show after a derby. That got heat.
Yeah,
not from me.
Oh, sorry guys, I've really messed my notes up here, because there's a women's match in the first hour.
I freaking told us it was.
You are really apologetic.
You should have believed in yourself.
I get the peer pressure. I get sucked in there. Like, they think they're clever doing the last week. You never guess what they're going to see coming. We're going to mix it up. Like, next week, last quarter hour.
The rules have changed.
It was, of course, Red Velvet versus Sky Blue for the third spot in the TBS title match, an eliminator match, basically. And Chris Statlander's watching this backstage, and Julia Hart was shown later as well watching. We get a delayed sort of stare down after an early exchange between Red and Blue. Velvet does her splits into a choke in the corner. Blue bails to the outside, doesn't want any of this. But she comes back as a result of that. DDT on the apron. She hoists Velvet into the barricade and the steps to take us to a break. When we come back, Blue's firing off a thrust kick, tries to hit a follow-up powerbomb, but Velvet rolls through, and they do that exchange of 1 count pin attempts. They both connect on head kicks. There's a double down. Velvet is Casador into a bulldog for 2. They both try to go for a big shot, but Velvet hits another bulldog. Goes for it, and Blue counters with the Skyfall for a nice 2 count. Velvet counters the step-up knee in the ropes into a powerbomb with a stack, hits a wheelbarrow victory roll out of the corner, tries for her finish. Blue rolls out of it. They trade thrust kicks. Blue blocks a merry-go-round kick, knee lift, code Blue, 1, 2, 3.
I was really surprised by this, pleasantly so. I don't think it was an amazing match, but I was watching, really quite impressed by how they raised that volume dial. I don't think they did anything particularly inventive to do that. Maybe you could argue they drew on a few popular cliched tropes to do it, but they did it, and it obviously worked. Like, I just like that feeling generally. I watch so much wrestling. There is so much more wrestling I feel guilty for not watching. I don't watch that much wrestling outside of the scope of our coverage, because over the last however many years, I've seen so much wrestling. It's hard for me to get up for things. The best version of my episodic storytelling isn't hitting. The one I don't like. So when I see something that takes me by surprise, I'm like, thank you. Did not expect this. A bit of a cliched match, but a pretty loud and I would say really effective one, and they can both be really proud of it. They did blow the finish a bit, but they'd done so much lung-bursting cardio to get there that I couldn't really go 2 foot on that.
Yeah, exactly. I felt bad for them in terms of just didn't quite nail the finish, because they built it so well. The crowd were into it. Like you say, they were given plenty of time. I was really impressed by this.
This was so good when it was good and so hot when it was hot that it was almost frustrating to me when it was sloppy. You said in your recap after the multiple roll-ups, connect with kicks. And
they didn't.
Yeah. What a nightmare moment that was for that to go wrong, because the fans are gone up and up. And like Sidge's point, it's a trope, but like, my God, did the fans believe that rolling thing, like, gas, missed by a mile. But then they got back in again. And then there will be another moment of sloppiness, and the finish was a little bit dicey, and it was like, you were desperate to just surrender to it, basically. Yeah. I thought it was so great in places. And then there was just this like back down to earth with the third, that one went wrong. But like I was sort of like, it's patronising when like you feel this way about wrestlers. I was sort of rooting for them, but like not feeling like the result or like somebody's going to make it to the pay. But I was just like, this is a really great bit of business. Like, I hope that connects. I hope that works. And just a couple of times it didn't. I'm glad Red Velvet's back. She doesn't mind a little bit of danger. Like, not quite Shotzi Blackheart, and I'd say she's a better all-rounder, but she does not fear getting herself in trouble. And I think that brings like a bit of spice. As much as Sky Blue continues to like rise.
You can believe in her as well as a result of that. You know she wants it. She'll take risks to get it.
Something might be happening with this division, you know. Like, no.
It's one of those, it's like when it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
When it happens, it happens.
Like, exposure, I think, helps. I just feel like I'm seeing more wrestlers more regularly. Like, the Full Gear title matches are not... Oh, well, we better hide the matches on the card. They're both off the back of stories that feature ancillary players as well. Like, it might be the start of something. I just feel like I know more about more than 2 women at a time in AEW.
I didn't appreciate the bit where they told us, Red Velvet got a victory on Rampage. And then they said, that was because Ruby Soho got some flowers delivered or something.
Yeah.
Head's been turned by a bloody bloke. Is that the implication?
Oh, Cool Hand Ange is...
the romance stuff, yeah.
He's Schwerpson. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Can you imagine a bloke being distracted by one you meant to take seriously anyway?
Yeah, the only
T. Marshall.
Wrestling would do it in that way where, like, a lady on the apron.
Yeah.
Like that awful cartoon, like Looney Tunes heart eyes.
Yeah.
Sorry, just doing a little bit of research here. Yeah, it's the only women's match on the card. So before we move on, Sidge, and before we even get to the name of the game, what's the aim of the game?
The aim of the game that we play, before I tell you the name of the game, is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note of the first entrance theme for the first woman to arrive for the only Dynamite match, so we can just italicize, underscore, put in bold by guessing the correct time this all begins again and again and again and again. That this is apathetic, it feels token, it's very much a... But you have to get the women on now. It's a 2023, innit? That's the aim of the game. We just want to crucify him. We want to expose to the second just how often they do this total and utter self-fulfilling prophecy of a women's division. That's the aim of the game. The name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, what a night!
You never know where he's going.
No.
You think he's going right, and he goes left.
Me neither.
Shout out as always to Adam Blair at Adam Wilton 4 and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11, who always take care of the
data
for this sort of thing. You don't need to bother to read out the times because we were way off this week. We all went around 1 hour 20-ish, didn't we? But like I said, it was in the first hour, 33 minutes and 24 seconds, which means Michael Hamflett gets the victory. He moves on to 9 for the year. Michael Sidgwick leading with 10. And as Jose pointed out, I am now on 619 for the year. 6 correct guesses, 19 incorrect guesses.
Okay.
Also, thank you to Adam Blair, who I guilt-tripped into donating for my Movember. Thanks. If anyone else who's a real fan of the podcast wants to donate, links on.
It's for a really good cause.
It's a cause.
Yeah, rather do that than request Mountain Dew Pitch Black for the office.
Good point. Yeah.
Don't do that.
You're raising money by being an arsehole. And you twist on November.
It's nowhere near good enough to do that.
No, it's never. I always think at the end of the month, like, I'll take a photo to see what I've done, and I want to do that. The mustache matting thing.
Don't do that.
It's just like. A little smear on my top lip. But yeah, it is a great cause that is genuinely very close to my heart. If you want to donate, then the link is on my social media. Put more women's matches on AEW Dynamite off the back of this.
Yeah, like this is so much more interesting and different and, dare I say, over than the opener.
Mm-hmm. Right, Miro's talking about his hot and flexible wife following that, bringing a storm to AEW. For years, he stood by and let her do whatever she wanted. But she's got a tendency to bring out not only the worst in herself, but him as well. And he plans to show that to Daniel Garcia this week on Collision. He's going to kick his ass for dancing at his wife.
I don't get or like any of this, you know. I just don't understand what they're going for. I kind of get it and kind of don't. Is it like... I don't know. I just don't think it's a very good story.
Do you know what it is to me? Like Miro and CJ Perry are not a couple I would like to spend time with, regardless. Like in storyline terms, like I think I get this dynamic. My bloody wife, but I don't like either of them for it. Like, is Miro angry with Andrade, or is that like, right, that's your work thing? I have to be okay with that. And it's all that's a bit archaic anyway, but like, I have to be all right with that. But that bloody Daniel Garcia, is he just using that as an excuse until he can get to Andrade? Like,
I don't know, it's just odd. All very odd this. And the worst thing is like he had an absolutely killer outline, did Miro. I can't remember it.
But he always does.
It was something like, I don't pray to my God anymore, but you better hope that he saves you, or something like that. It's just, oh my God, what a turn of phrase this man has. He should be like deployed way more effectively. Like Miro, like think of 2021 and how it was the Dream Factory. Like we got to the fireworks factory. That Simpsons gag. We got to the fireworks factory. Punk, Danielson, All Out, Belt Collector.
Speaking of belt
Do you
collector,
happen to know what the capital of Thailand is? Bangkok, baby. It was the best. And Miro was right up there with the very best of it. It's such a downfall.
Remember the Bulgarian TNT belt?
Mate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
And the
God.
law behind it as well.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Everything was cooking. Everything. Except Cody. Except the next biggest draw in the industry.
Yeah, except the next John Cena. She is.
He is. You don't belong here. You belong over there.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
What?
We'll talk more about Miro and Garcia on the Collision preview tomorrow.
Well, going well.
I'd love to know what you made of what came next, because as promised, RJ City was going to introduce Mariah May to Toni Storm. They go outside the locker room that says, not Toni Storm. They knock on the door, it opens, the screen goes black and white. Luther slams the door on their face, goes back to colour, knock again, and they get to go in this time after RJ works his magic, basically. Mariah comes in, Toni Storm's there, lounging out, cucumbers on her face, and she fangirls does May, talking about stardom and following in her footsteps, etc. She loves Toni Storm, and Toni says, I didn't catch a word of that, I'm not doing autographs, and I'm indisposed. But Mariah May says, look, Toni, if you need anything, let me know. And she's like, yep, piss off. And then tells Luther to contact studio director Mr. Khan. She wants a tune-up match on Friday. I was like, get in, Collision on Rampage. And she wants a Luther as well.
You don't have to watch Collision, man.
Oh, yeah, I know, but we have to preview it, and we could have previewed a good Toni Storm match.
Yes, I will watch Collision. I'm just saying you don't have to if you don't
Is
want
it double header? Is that how it's
back to
work?
back.
Yeah. I don't like this. Do not like this. What's the joke of black and white? I understand she's like a diva and she has her demands. Like Elizabeth Taylor wouldn't come out of a trailer without a necklace, that sort of thing. She must be shot in black and white. Like, what is funny? What's a joke? What am I not getting here? Am I meant to be laughing at some unseen production staffer put upon, like with beads of sweat wiping away, black and white colour. That bit where they kept opening the door and then shutting it, colour to black and white. It's made it look so much like a show.
She's going to get hit so hard she gets hit into colour during the title.
Well, I really hope not.
I don't know. Like you say, I'm confused.
I just really, really, really dislike all of this. I just don't find it amusing anymore. And it's such a shame because it was so funny to begin with.
Bit of me, this.
I knew
Really liked it. Not funny.
I knew it.
Not funny. But why does everything have to be funny? This wasn't. It's not a joke. It's just a weird thing. Like, it's just.
It is a joke.
Well, no, all right. It's not set up punchline.
Of course it is. The thing with the black and white and colour,
Yeah,
and
just
closing the door and back and forward. Different colours.
Just looks cool, doesn't it? Because she's this like. Well, you know why? You don't need me to explain it to you. But I'll just say it just looks cool. It's just a nice like.
That's meant to be a gag. It's just not a good one.
So I think it's just like a nice feature of the character. She like. It's like when they first had like Kane in Red, and it was like.
It's not a harrowing refugee
big.
drama. It's meant to be a gag.
Yeah.
It's just not funny. I don't even know what the joke is. Whoever's doing this comedy on the AEW creative team, why don't you discover what punchlines are, comedic rules are, things that are funny are. Black and white
gives
colour.
that character
Black
a
and
bit
white
of
colour.
identity away from all the other characters, isn't it? It's like this is like one of Toni Storm's
She had
weird.
one. She had one.
She's got loads, but like, here's another one. You know, like it's just like an additional sort of aesthetic selling point to the Toni Storm character. I think it's really. I thought when they opened the door, I thought that was a great element of it. Like here we go right now, and then no, off again. Like again, I'm not sat there like doing the engagement account sideways cry laughing emoji at her or anything. I just thought that's a nice touch, a nice detail for this character. That's because that's who she is. Like and I'm into the story as well.
Change your mind about the title win on Saturday?
I still don't know, but
I think the phrase "if you need anything, let me know," and the fact she haven't, I think she's going to be taken. I don't know who she's facing actually on
she
Rampage.
could botch the interference spot.
Yeah,
it's one of those, isn't it? I think she's going to make the realization on Rampage. I'm disappointed it's not on Collision, but make the realization on Rampage. Same difference, I suppose. It's the same night. If you're going to watch one,
Same difference. You're not watching it, mate.
Yeah. I think Chesterfield are on telly as well on Saturday afternoon. Southend United, so TNT. But I think she's going to get taken far closer than she wanted to on Rampage, and suddenly be like, bollocks. And she'll get Maria May to do something on Saturday.
Which again,
I think
there's proper storyline speculation around this result, and I think this is like really good character development for a Toni Storm gimmick that I thought had gone off the rails. I think this is like pulled it back in quite nicely. It's something I want to see long term for her. I'm all in on this. I think this is tremendous. All this character. I was done as well. I was the same as you. So I was just thinking, all right, they've stretched this joke to its breaking point. When it was a joke, when it was like, right, here's RJ City and we're...
as opposed to the serious business it is now.
It's not serious business.
I'm joking!
I couldn't, a bit like Toni Storm, I couldn't see the joke. Like, I don't know, I don't see what punchline you're reaching for here.
Reaching, bro.
Characters just have stuff. You know?
That's a certain member of the AEW creative team's MO.
Yeah,
like jokes that aren't really jokes. You're meant to laugh at the peanut butter being spread on bread very slowly. You know this, don't you?
Well, yeah.
But what's funny about it?
Nothing.
What's the mystery?
One thing we'd all agree on, though, was an awesome squash match came next.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. John Cruz, I believe it was, against Samoa Joe.
It was
Cruz, because I just loved the...
I want to see the other one again, ever.
I need your gimmick.
I'm just be John Cruz.
I need your gimmick, but in a different way in a second. So, Cruz...
Data.
No, not that one. Sorry, yeah, I'll narrow it. No, not that one. Although, yeah. Cruz throws low kicks. Joe just checks them all and flattens him. Hits him with corner shots. Enziguri. Cruz tries to fight back. Attempts a crossbody off the top. Joe does his usual walk-off gimmick. But Cruz, mid-air, does the...
What?
And I thought there's an image that we've seen all over social media that's amazing for this.
Great photo capture that.
Coquina clutch, quick win. I'm Samoa Joe. I am inevitable. He offered, obviously, MJF the hand of friendship as well, but I love this as a squash match.
There were two utterly pointless squash matches on this show. One of them was great. One of them was just they beat a team quickly.
Yes.
Like this John Cruz. I might have gone a little bit recency bias, hyperbole on X by saying you should do one every week. Maybe not every week.
I thought it was
more of this. What a great enhancement talent.
Yes.
You are meant to enhance the star that you are working, and he got over this character so well. Like the bit where he just kept trying to kick him and block. Samoa Joe's like, why? First of all, what are you doing? And why would you consider doing what you might be doing to me, Samoa Joe? I will destroy you. Destroying me did.
I completely agree. Hobbs, Wardlow, feed Miro, feed him to all of them. And then I do think, I love him so much, I do think if he does get a shock victory over someone, none of them that I've just mentioned, but down the line, a month or two down the line, if he gets a shock victory over someone on Collision, I think I might pop for that.
When he inevitably pins Daniel Garcia.
Yes.
Yeah. That was brilliant. Yeah, feed him to Wardlow was exactly what I thought. Yeah. Like, that's the next horrifying Wardlow walks, kills a guy and leaves match.
Give him when they used to do the interviews with the people with Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Give him that, but not with the bad connotations with the guys.
A little mid-ring, I'm still fighting for this title type. I'm ready. Who's next?
I'd tape him up more each time.
Yeah.
We get a video package for Tony Khan's Continental Classic. They recap everything that happened on Collision.
Skip, good for me.
Nice alliteration, though. Tony Khan's Continental Classic.
Bryan Danielson's first participant. If you missed it, by the way, we announced the other three people that are going to be in it so far. They are Keith Lee,
Toni
Toni
Nese,
and Eddie Kingston.
Correct. We just played a game.
Speaking of which.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
She won't be in it.
But let's announce the next 2 people that are going to be in it. Ooh. No skips. That's the rule. That's 2 now. 2 more on the collision.
changing the rules?
2 more on the collision preview. I'm just scared they're going to announce some at Full Gear, but trying to get in as many as we can.
They better not signpost it.
6 per group. Is that right?
Yes. So we've got 5 so far, but 1 each from each of you now.
Got 1.
Michael Sidgwick, as you know, no skips, no Pro Evo rules on this one.
Yeah.
But we'll do more on collision, along with 2 sentence horror stories. So if you know, you know. If you're a fan of hallways, I suppose. Sidge, I am scrolling through the AEW roster page. Tell me when to
stop.
Pick a number between 1 and 5. There is.
It was 12 the other day.
I know. I've drilled it back to keep it
Stop
simple.
changing the rules.
There are some really fun choices. One that I'm scared he might swing for me if he picks this one, and one kind of fun one. So 1 to 5.
2.
Oh, how about you tell him?
Oh, it was going to be one or the other, and it's Keith Marshall. He's made it in at the tournament.
Of course he has.
Could have had Starks, Phoenix, or Strong, or Nana as well.
Oh, Nana. Aye, yeah.
Hamflet.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the friggin' thing.
I'm scrolling through. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. Ooh.
1 and 10 do a thing?
Should we do 1 in 10?
Or just one with the visible faces?
Yeah, 1 to
1 to 5.
1 to 5.
5.
Mark Quinn. Add it to the list.
I worry about Mark Quinn. He's been out a long time.
Long time.
He's still injured? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well.
Okay, then 4.
No, because that was a bad line of people. Actually, no. Go earlier. Go earlier.
3.
Earlier still.
2.
Mark Davis is injured. Oh, 2, you said?
2, I said, yeah. First try.
Michael Sidgwick, who is it?
Mark Briscoe!
Yay!
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's good.
I love me some Mark Briscoe.
Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe in the tournament.
I had a fantasy booking idea.
Go on.
I don't know how viable this is, considering he's not wrestled since Wrestle Dream, and whenever Shibata isn't wrestling, it's like, oh, what's happened? You know, it's like the weirdest thing, this Shibata run.
Yeah.
Like, can he go or not? I've seen him go, but he's not in matches that would suggest he can go because it's all very safety gloves and all the rest of it.
Nuge booked him yet? They've not, have they?
Yeah.
He also hasn't defended the pure title in like
If
2
he
months,
can-
so Samoa Joe didn't really need to defend the Serenity
If he
TV
can-
title.
Go. And I've seen evidence that he can, right?
Anthony. Oh, no, sorry, yeah.
Love the Go-Go's.
I love Go. Right. How about Shibata? It's such a good pick for, right, he's got the name just about still. He's got that legendary aura. Lovely memories of him, if not the aura still. He would be a perfect, or you can lose some matches against, like, you know, your Danielsons or your Omegas or whatever. What if he, like, loses the first 2 or 3 and you think, all right, well, it's the Shibata match this week. No stakes, but it's Shibata. He's got the aura. This is fun. And then he starts kicking ass and makes the block final.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
It would provide a bit of, like, more organic featuring of the pure title ahead of that Ring of Honor pay-per-view in December as well. You absolutely have to force people that you're trying to sell your pay-per-view.
God, I forgot.
Onto
Don't do it. Do not do it.
Then it was time for the Young Bucks hometown heroes against Penta and Commander. Nick Jackson and Commander starts. There's blind tags, wild miss moves early on. Everyone connects with big boots. There's a quadruple kip up. The Bucks go to shake hands and then super kick them and shake hands with each other instead. And I thought, hello, here we go. Double dives to the outside. Matt runs into a super kick by Penta when they go back in, though. A nice assisted rocket launcher crossbody by Commander. Nick comes back there with a slingshot facebuster to take us to picture-in-picture. We come back. There's a bit of accidental friendly fire by the Young Bucks. Commander hits a step up from the bing, bing, ding. Step up, twisting Hurricane Rana on Nick off the ropes, along with a tightrope walk Hurricane Rana, sending Nick into his brother on the outside. Penta hits the Bucks with a dive. Sling blade back inside on Matt. Another dive onto Nick. Penta starts his own super kick party. Commander launched off his partner into a double spike DDT. Penta hits Made in Japan on Matt. Commander wants his rope walk shooting star, but Matt hits him with a rolling Northern Lights. The Bucks want the Meltzer driver. Commander cuts him off. Penta hits the Fear Factor on Nick on the apron. And Commander hits a Snap Hurricane Rana for a 2 count on Matt.
Oh my God.
Great.
Matt is in a fireman's carry by Penta. Commander walks the ropes, springs off his back, and hits a destroyer on Nick.
Oh my God.
My God.
Oh my God.
Never seen that before.
Penta hits that new fireman carry jackhammer that he does.
And then you're like, whatever. What else you got?
For a 2 count. Matt and Penta get into it. Super kicks, pump kicks. And Matt, my bloody leg, takes the ref. Rick Knox checks on him. Nick kicks both of them in the cock. It's a Judas effect on Commander. BTE Trigger gets the win for the Bucks, but the crowd are booing them because of the cock kick.
This was Matt and Nick Jackson going this. To all their critics, myself included, in recent months, and going,
Time to suck my dick.
on every conceivable level, this was a fucking doubting us. What? Like, oh my God. I never thought I would have an internal monologue if you still got it going in my head for a Young Bucks match, but I certainly did. This is absolutely terrific on so many different levels. It was that heady, turbulent rush of a Young Bucks match. One, the storytelling was really quietly sophisticated, right? It's a good job that this is like really meta premised, because realistically you shouldn't be able to tell the story they told in this match, what I'll get to imminently, where when they're the number one contenders technically to the AEW World Tag Team titles, but everyone knows that's a bit weird, and it's all of this is very heavily meta premised on the idea that all's not right with the Young Bucks. All's really not right with the Young Bucks. There is a story, who's going to break it, who's reporting on it, whatever. Mm-hmm. In this match, they tell the story that all is not right with the Young Bucks and the friendly fire element. That in itself, because this was pretty great on every conceivable level, that story beat, which was very elegantly folded from reality into fiction, erected a platform on which Commander did his best-looking stuff ever. Yeah. His most spectacular-looking stuff ever. He capitalized on every bit of friendly fire. That's because the Bucks are spiritually adrift, and therefore adrift in the body of this match. And Commander's stuff has never looked as awesome and as exciting as this ever. And that is the Young Bucks. You cannot have a bad match with the Young Bucks. Like, Dave Meltzer told a story where he was like at a PWG show and he was talking with some of the wrestlers, and he went, "Oh, that match was absolutely awesome that you had with the Young Bucks." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it was the easiest match I've ever had in my entire life." It's like they're geniuses at this. They'll never get the credit. And they did obviously in later years with AEW. But saying these guys are just unbelievable. It's like the easiest night of your life. Everyone has a blow away match with the Young Bucks, and that was the true feeling being back. I've watched some Young Bucks tags this year, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, that wasn't very good. I mean, or it was good, but I'm meant to be losing my mind. I'm meant to be watching everyone you're working with be awesome, springboard, jump onto someone's back as a platform to a destroyer. Like, how on earth have you done that? Wow. How have you thought of that? And I'm not being funny. I would be amazed if it wasn't Nick Jackson in particular who's said, "Oh, that would be a good idea for a spot." And then they tell the story of, right, all's not right with us. We keep getting in each other's way. We are adrift. Like, we're just not dialed in. We're losing. We're getting our asses kicked. Something needs to change. Or I'll just kick them in the balls and we'll be the Young Bucks again. The touch of their parents being there for it as well was really inspired, because you just thought, right, well, they'll go in as tweeners with this traditional elite dynamic, if you like. Nah, they've turned full-blown heel. I thought this match was spectacular, like a really bit of sophisticated storytelling in there. like, dare I say it, and I hate kind of saying it because it suggests that there's been a period in between when there haven't been this, but vintage Young Bucks on every level. I thought this was unbelievable, and I was so happy watching it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I'm led to believe that that's a bad thing in the plot of that movie. It was a great thing here. This was the lot. Like, you couldn't criticize it as just a spot fest.
How did it not feel so contrived as
even
well?
if the spots were lifted?
That's the Young Bucks magic.
Like, it was, all the spots could have been lifted out of a charmless spot fest, but instead they were inserted into this really story-rich, like, 4 3/4 star match, 10-star experience. Like,
the vibes are back.
Yeah, like, everything. This had a lot, like, right down to the parents being ringside to give you that kind of, like, almost old-fashioned, old-timey, tropey here. Like, you pair of arseholes here. Like, and again, and that isn't just within the context of being in the hometown and just being bad guys. It brings in reality, which is what the Young Bucks were always great as, which was why, like, the DNA of AEW is so in touch with this hardcore base that wants to be a little more inside, as it was on Being the Elite with the camera they were holding. Like, this was everything, absolutely everything, including even meta jabs at the likes of us arseholes and other ones on podcasts saying, we were never saying they didn't have it anymore. It was just like, whatever you've got.
Do you want it?
You've
got it, but do you want it?
Do you want to show it off? And it's still, like, it was a knock at us, and rightfully so. I'm not, like, I think that you were sort of invited to become a detractor of the Young Bucks. Truly, I do. And yet, at the same time, you were also invited to shut the up and watch, because, of course, they can still of course, they can still do this kind of whenever they want. I just wish they wanted it more. Like, majestic stuff. Like, the highlight of a show that wasn't short on a few other little peak AEW moments as well. This was phenomenal.
I've missed it.
And what a sales pitch! What a sales pitch for the match. This was good go-home material as well. This was everything.
The idea of them as well, the echo back to Revolution 2020 by, we'll just get the backs up of our opponents so I steal their finish.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and after that, Lexi now was backstage with the Bucks saying, why did you cheat to win? And Matt said, sources have told me the Bucks don't give a damn anymore. Kenny Omega walks in. He's like, what's this? This isn't the Bucks of old. And Nick's like, well, no problems with you, Kenny. It's Jericho. But you don't have to team. We won't have to team with him anymore after we win on Saturday. We can all focus on the Elite again. Jericho walks in. He's like, not worth it, Kenny. Come on, we got the Sega match coming up. Bloody kids. And they shove him. Big pull apart happens. Omega's just like, just wanted to talk.
That's how, like, wrestling's so weird now. I'm talking about basically two of the top heels coming out of this show, and that's how effective I knew it was as, like, a 38-year-old adult that likes a bit of everything in pro wrestling. Like, I was more thinking, Chris Jericho, you friggin' loser. Like, let's get out of here, Kenny. I was like, yeah, the Bucks. You tell him. You call that fat idiot loser. See you on Sunday or Saturday, whenever the friggin' show is. Like, I kind of want the Golden Jets to win. I think that's well, obviously, you know, they can't just, probably isn't it for the team, but I want them to batter Jericho on the way.
It would be very elite if the idea is, well, you're stuck with us now because you can't team with Jericho.
That's quite nice, yeah. But then that means that they're doing the, like, Elite, we've got to figure it out. And I still think, at my core, I want Kenny just...
I'm with you. I'm just playing it there. Devil's advocate.
Time for another squash match. The Guns
Skip
versus Peter Avalon and Jacoby Watts. Chuck Avalon outside, 310 to Yuma for the win, and then they cut a promo afterwards saying, this is what happens when it's 2-on-2. Imagine 2-on-1 at Full Gear. No one cared.
They did this last week.
They did it last week. They've been having these short matches on Collision, what feels like forever. Mm-hmm. It might be like 2, but it feels like forever. So I'm kind of right. This had that horrific echo of Michael Cole going, listen here, you dumb, stupid fucking here's how it happens. You climb the briefcase, asshole. You have to retrieve the ladder. You have to retrieve the briefcase, and the winner of the briefcase can cash in a title opportunity whenever they want. That's like, oh my God.
It's like when January, when they do Battle Royals, and they go, oh my God, if that happens on Saturday, they'll be eliminated from the Royal Rumble with both feet hitting the floor. Yeah.
Oh my God, I've just got it. I've just realized. If they can do that in really short order to 2 wrestlers, what can they do to 1?
Exactly. Now I get it. Now I get the 0.
Don't sing me again.
Not to be conflated, Sidge, with listen, head. If you want to talk about TNA, you talk about TNA, you head. I've been sitting behind that goddamn desk for 5 years now. Vince McMahon seems to do a good job, head. The different
I must be doing something right, Ed.
the different Michael Cole promos. Of very different value as well. Like,
Awesome.
what the hell was that?
We see a video package of Wardlow training. He saw fear in the devil's eyes. MJF's time's running out. He's killing dudes as he's saying, as God is my witness, I'll make the devil my bitch. And you see the devil before it all cuts away.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. I'll square this off when I get to the main event.
Okay. And then it was time for the Like a Dragon Gaiden street fights.
Oh my God.
Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Kota Ibushi, Paul White. We saw them earlier on in the night as well, walking through in suits.
Boys. My new favourite boys.
Jericho couldn't be
Slow
asked to
motion.
change out of their suits. Omega and Ibushi had put their gear on.
Watch that shot back, slow motion, and literally with Big Show's legs obscured. Like the way Kenny and Jericho walked the I was going, I want to have another look. And he couldn't.
Taking on Don Callis' family, Hobbs, Takeshita, Fletcher, and Brian Cage. And big brawl breaks out early on. Jericho hits Fletcher with a bat, and Paul White chokeslams him off the stage straight away through some tables. He goes backstage with Hobbs. It's 3-on-3. It leaves Ibushi and Takeshita slugging it out in the ring. Omega gets in. They do some Golden Lovers stuff.
Going to check the time for old Hamlet. No, you're right. 12:44.
Oh, grand.
And then Ibushi and Omega, Ibushi mainly takes the sweet time, doing the moonsault out to the outside. Cage and Takeshita were getting his position as well, I should say. But then we see Paul White and Powerhouse Hobbs outside and near a car. Not yet. And White's chopping Hobbs on the chest on top of the car. Not yet.
Press what I want.
Jericho and Omega hit Takeshita and Cage with signs. Omega pulls out a barbed wire bat, but Takeshita gets it off him. Cage launches Jericho into the table. And then here comes Ibushi on a bicycle.
Oh my God.
Excalibur does the Dusty Rhodes, of course. He's also got a pipe in his hand, and he...
Love taps.
Yeah, taps Takeshita and Fletcher, and then gets his head taken off by Brian Cage with a clothesline.
Like first bump onto some spokes.
Oh my God.
Kota Ibushi channeling Jeremy Vine on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like he's wearing a GoPro. Look at this idiot when I was riding my bike. Brian Cage in the road.
Then we cut to Hobbs. He gets Paul White up and he's on a stack of wood, basically. He body slams him onto the hood of a car.
Oh my God.
Pissed myself laughing at this. It was, you know what? Paul White, you've earned your 5-year AEW deal there. That was so awesome.
And a 5-year stretch in hospital, probably. Like, Jesus
How
Christ.
do you bump on like 3 different services at once?
Yeah. Because initially I thought, that's a shame. It's always good when they cave the windscreen in, and then I was like, oh no, he has his head caved that bit in. He's smashed into the hood of the car, and he's just slid down. And then later on, Hobbs, because I was thinking, Hobbs, get back in the match, and I was like, no, actually, if I was Powerhouse Hobbs, I'd be in his face going, you see what I just did to you there?
Re-record the iconic WWE Don't Try This at Home video with Jim Ross voice and said, I would let her fall off a goddamn car into slow motion, black and white, the Big Show. Absolutely stacking it. And I watched this like 10 times. Oh my God.
How is that the most memorable spot from this match when someone took a brainbuster onto a bicycle?
Bumping on a bike, man, as well. There's something in bits of it.
Ibushi's absolutely
even as it
mental.
gets.
That was, Takeshita was swinging the bike around in the ring, and then, brainbuster on Ibushi on the bicycle to take us to a break. Come back. We'll see what happens after that.
Imagine like remember the Nick Gage pizza thing? Imagine it was like a bike shop.
Yeah,
Just see, like Ibushi picking a pedal out of his back or something.
Can't beat a bike. Halfords this Christmas.
Cage has set up some tables when we come back at ringside. There's a pallet that's been brought into the ring. There was also a bit, I can't remember where it was, where Jericho was hitting someone with like a crate, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just swinging that about. Omega gets slammed onto the pallet with a double suplex. Fletcher's got a bottle from somewhere. He's going to try and hit Omega. Omega fights out of it, though, hits Cage with a V-trigger. Fletcher runs at him. Omega smashes him in the face with a bottle, which bloodies him up, and I think cuts Kenny Omega's hand to pieces as well.
Almost like using real glasses. F***ing dumb. Cry me a river.
Goated, though. Fletcher's goated.
Ibushi flies in to save Kenny. Takeshita and Jericho started brawling backstage. Takeshita runs across some refrigerators, jumps. Jericho turns around with a fire extinguisher.
I love this so much, man.
The fridges, man. The fridges did it to me. Well, yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't Falls Count anywhere.
Yes.
Because otherwise Jericho could have just pinned him there.
Yeah.
Was that explained or not?
I don't care.
That's the thing.
So
I don't
much.
care. I do not care.
There was a bit of me that thought, is the refrigerator at the top of the refrigerator? I was terrified for some reason of his foot going through one of the refrigerator. Then I was like, it's a fridge. I assume all of it's pretty much the same. They go on to try and take out Cage, but then here comes Hobbs again, which I was very pleased about because I was like, why haven't you come back out yet? He takes them out both with slams.
Omega taking the slam, by the way. How do you do it? It makes it look like such a perilous situation. And oh my God, we'll get onto that in about a second.
Cage hits a superplex from the ring to the floor through the tables.
Oh my God.
His feet touched the rafters.
And again they go.
He looked like he was going to die because he's flailing like mad.
I knew I don't, I never get involved in the whole ratings conversation, but if anyone, for any of these breaks has turned off, they need their head examined. Like every other one, so the last one was what? Someone gets hoiked onto a bike and they go, stick around. And I go, absolutely, I'm not going anywhere. This time, they do that bloody superplex spot through the tables and go, come back. And I go, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
Like Joe Couch Killer, grab the clicker.
Find
me the goddamn freer.
Jericho's in the crowd now.
That would have been him, yeah.
He goes after Hobbs. Hobbs just kills him with a spine buster off the back of that. But he misses a corner splash. Jericho hits a code breaker. Cage is back. F5. Omega and Fletcher exchange snapdragons. Fletcher's busted open, like I said. And then you're like, oh, it's been a bit boring for about 30 seconds, this. So Fletcher tombstones Ibushi off the apron through a sign that's on a stack of chairs.
Oh my God.
Wet.
I love this so much, man.
Ibushi's not back, but a version of him is.
Yeah.
His body isn't, but his brain
He'll
is.
do that when he's 80. Doesn't have to do out.
Yeah.
Lift me up and away I go.
Yeah.
Omega and Jericho hit a V-trigger and a Judas effect on Hobbs and then duct tape him to the ropes. He starts yelling at him, so they tape his mouth shut. Somehow, Ibushi's recovered quicker than Carl Fletcher from a super tombstone through the sign and chairs and stuff. He hoists some chairs in the ring. Cage drops Jericho with a pump handle slam, goes for a drill claw on Omega. Jericho hits him with a bat. Omega peppers him with V-triggers. One winged angel on Brian Bloody Cage. 1, 2, 3. And then Ibushi, I did like after the match coming in and going, what's happened, guys? Did we win? Huh?
Right. I loved this, and it was outstanding.
Yeah.
And as Hamlet was talking about yesterday, and we both, I had to be stupid.
Yes.
Right. It had to be stupid. There was no heft to this. There was no real hatred. Let's just go hog wild. And they did with 2, between the Ibushi jumping tombstone bump and the Paul White thing, like 2 of the most insane things I've ever seen in AEW, and think of the ground that covers. Right.
Just laughing.
When you say to me...
And that's not even the Omega thing was insane as well.
When you say to me, you're getting a video game street fight on the show tonight, that's what I want.
This was absolute perfection for what it was. For what this is the best possible version of itself. A video game tie-in blow-off where a one-on-one feud, if you like, between Callis and Omega has been so mutated into, like Fletcher and Paul White,
mutated into the Big Show falling off a car.
I mean, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
It's worked.
I also thought of you immediately when they're like, okay, and go. And like Fletcher's like running at the Big Show going, I don't really care. Big Show, you go bang, through the table you go. Garblade's like, okay, no, I do hate you now, yeah.
So it was a series of absolutely demented, I can't believe you're going this hard for this reason bumps. Like total sicko magic. Only an AEW magic as well. Mm-hmm. And, right, so strictly you could argue it was bad. They didn't explain that it wasn't false count anywhere because I was like, why is Jericho giving the back elbow, the Judas effect, and not pinning him? Why is Ibushi up before Fletcher when Ibushi took the tombstone? There's a few moments like that peppered throughout.
Oh, and the bit at the beginning I forgot to mention, where they're like, here we go, big fight, Don Callis family. And Don's like, yeah, I'm just going to go to commentary. And they were like, we haven't got any chairs or a mic for you. Sorry, mate.
Like,
it's the most AEW thing. And they were like, we got a chair for Don.
And yet, so it's that kind of match.
Yeah.
And it's probably best judged on the noises you made at home.
Yeah,
I was literally yucking, howling with laughter. And, Bushy's gone through a wheel. Oh, the Big Show! Look at that! I was crying, laughing, watching this. Then I was like, "Oh my god, Omega's gonna die!" With that bump from the superplex. Jesus Christ! It looked like in that moment, like there was a ledge. You know what I mean? I got that feeling of there isn't one, but it's like, oh my god! So you got all those deep, visceral gut thrills. That head-turning excitement. And I think they're finished with Hobbs and the continuity and the callback and the turnabout was fair play. That was really quite well thought out. And because Omega's broken, like, looked like he's really hurt his hand, it had this, like, really accidental heft. It wasn't just that knockabout because, well, it's just my parasocial relationship with the cleaner. But I was like, oh my God, there's real danger here. I should have probably realised that. Paul White has just almost died. But there's actually real danger here, and I'm into it, and it feels like tense and dramatic and suspenseful. I just thought this was unbelievable for what it was. I'm going to watch it again, I think, this weekend.
I'm very excited because I don't want to spoil anything for Scott Taylor for the What Culture Gaming podcast. We're available wherever you get your podcast from because he watches it normally a day or two after, so I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to big it up either too much and have him think it's going to be more, I don't know, video gamey or whatever.
Well,
but
he came in having not known and said like there's a lot of like stuff with like bikes in the game, so I wonder if that might come in. And I was like, I was needing to tape myself. So I was like,
your powerhouse hobby yourself.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it, Scott. You want to see what Takeshi's dressed as?
I
think it matters. That's I don't know, but I liked it. So
the tape spot went better than many tape spots have gone either.
Yeah,
50% of Powerhouse Hobbs was really taped to that right.
Callis just immediately turned on Brian Cage like that as well.
Yeah,
big idiot, big dumb idiot, Brian Cage. If it wasn't for you, brilliant. A total blast.
Oh, just what a hoot. I loved it so much.
We've talked about the feud, like, not living up to its potential. So it's slightly different in that respect, but I had the same feeling like Arcade Anarchy.
Yes.
In that case, it didn't live up to potential, just it would never end. But I was like, this has been so joyful. Like, magic stuff.
Yeah, then exactly. I don't know if this is going to be an annual thing, but if it is, sign me up for next year.
Make a big old mess. So you have to clean it up in a big match.
Make an iterative sequel of this game purely so they can do this match
again.
Yeah.
Or just do, well, it's the anniversary of that game coming out.
Yeah.
So, let's do it.
There's some DLC content for it, I think, so let's just do it again.
I've wrestled a lot of matches on Fight Forever on the Switch, and none of them were as good as this. Like, they can't make a game as good as the rest.
Any bikes on Fight Forever?
Not yet, but
that's
they want to add it.
That's going to be good DLC, yeah. Right, main event time in terms of the closing thing on the show. Obviously, that was the main event match. It's MJF coming out to the ring. He grabs a mic, says that after the attack last week, no matter how many times he tries to outrun his past, it will catch up. He keeps trying to better himself, but every time he lets someone in, those people get hurt. He feels cursed sometimes. He wants to say to the Acclaimed exactly what he said to Adam Cole. He's sorry that they got caught in the crossfire of his life. Sorry they got hurt. Hope they feel better. Ever since he can remember, all he's wanted to be is a world champion. He made it to the mountaintop, but the air's thin, and he looks down and sees men climbing up to shove him off the top. He's man enough to admit that he's afraid. He could lose all he's worked for in the blink of an eye, but he's more afraid to let us all down. And there's a scumbag, you're a scumbag chant. The old him with a run from this, but he's done letting his past dictate his future and his present. He's not willing to quit or give up his spot. He may be afraid, but you got to send a whole army to get his ass to come down off that mountain. Jay White's been walking around the title he has not yet earned. He's a shot to take his spot, but he doesn't think he can. Doesn't think anyone can because he is MJF and he's better than us, and we know it. And a message to the person who stole his devil masks and hired all those goons. Heed MJF's words. He'll find out who he is, and when he does, there's going to be hell to pay. Jay White comes out. He's got the belt. Obviously, he tells Max, stop it. Drop the act. You're embarrassing yourself. You're trying so hard to be the hero. That's just not who you are. You're the villain. You always will be. You're not fooling anyone with this devil mask distractions. We've heard it over and over. You are the devil. No one's on your level, right? You're not the hero. You're not the people's hero. You'll be dropped because you mean nothing to us. You'll drop people. You mean nothing to us just like we mean nothing to you. We both know
that you hate each other.
we both know your title reign's almost over. Jay's better than him, and Jay signals the attack with 2 words. Juice and the Guns try to attack. MJF fights them off, but the numbers game catches up to him, and Juice hits him with the fake ring. 310 to Yuma to MJF. In comes Jay White, grabs him, hits the Blade Runner, pins him. Juice counts the 1, 2, 3, and the show ends with Bullet Club Gold having destroyed MJF, standing tall. Samoa Joe's watching backstage, and Taz on commentary says, well, the offer still stands, and MJF might want to take Joe up on it.
This continues to, for me, I'm really disappointed by this whole direction. This continues to be really overthought and unfocused. The thing about MJF saying, oh, there's loads of people climbing up the mountain. You know that one who's like climbing it faster than the rest at the minute? Just tell me that you hate him or that you've got a match with them and that you put him over but insult him. Like, do something, anything to tell me that this main event of Full Gear isn't a formality, and they did not do that. There's so much focus on signposting what's next for MJF. It's World's End, like this Full Gear thing. It just does not matter. They didn't do anything to make it matter. What's worse about MJF saying all of this, right? I understand from this character's perspective, he's obviously going to be worried about every single challenger. Just do something to really put over Jay White because this is bombed. There's no... This MJF versus Jay White program, if you consider the actual great lineage of world title matches and programs in AEW, this has been such a bomb compared to them. So that was really disappointing. It's one thing for MJF to say it from a character's perspective, right? But like AEW throughout the broadcast with the Joe squash and that Wardlow video package, he'd already told that story. Like, it just feels like, he's got loads of like people after him. It's like, nah, man, you've told us a million times. Jay White coming out afterwards and saying, oh, you're the devil. Why do you care if he's the devil or if he's not a good person? Why do you care, Jay White, that MJF might be lying about how good of a person he is, or he might be doing some grand master plan and revealing himself to be the devil? Just say you're going to win his title and how much you want it and why you think you can do it. Like, why does Jay White care if MJF is or not the devil?
It would have mattered had he not blown off being attacked by the devil after the first week. If that was still, if there was any connective tissue still remaining, but he pretty much said, I know the devil, you stupid bloody idiot, and then moved on with his business about stealing the belt. He was the one that kind of like undermined that first attack, didn't he?
This was just so unfocused. They had I still don't think they could have done it that well because the stakes are so low. No one cares about belt theft. Jay White has been marginalized and he's just another one of the many after MJF. They had a difficult job to do like a traditional promo duel, like something like a contract signing, but not. But they didn't even bother. It felt like this is the absolute epitome of the match will be great. And depending on how long this show is, like, this didn't get big reaction in the building. No. The beatdown. It just felt like, all right, okay, we kind of have to have MJF get his ass kicked here. What? It might happen again on Saturday. I'm just really disappointed by this. I understand like this grand ambition. People can feud with different people at once. It just feels so unbelievably unfocused. And I think they will look back and think, I had a bit of a nightmare here. To be honest, this MJF versus Jay White program has been actively bad, and it kills me to say that.
I thought it made the end of the show really awkward because it is awkward when a heavy heat angle is only getting this like tepid response. Then it feels like you're watching like a show, like a pantomime. It's not like that kind of villainy that you say Horseman stuff where it's just like, I hate these people and the goodies need to stop them.
Yeah.
Do you think it was anything but that at the very end?
Do you think it would have got a more of a reaction if the crowd hadn't been all with the video game fight?
Possibly, but that's not like ultimately if you're ending the show with the world champion, that's the point of being the world champion is that you can follow anything. I personally didn't mind the exposition. I quite like this MJF character. It's like if there is a bigger picture still to invest in, it's this MJF. Yeah. His life has gotten tougher since he's tried to be the good guy, and I like that a lot. And I did wonder, like they leaned in quite heavily on this semantic field of mountaineering, and the air is pretty thin. Is this like a low-key tease that Darby Allin's getting a title shot before he climbs Mount Everest? Like genuinely,
I don't think
that's going to come out of nowhere. And AEW, like
I
MJF
don't believe he's climbing Mount Everest.
I think it was just a bit of wordplay, yeah.
But he's done that before, hasn't he, MJF? He'll say a thing and it really matters down the line.
Yeah. He's like, great at foreshadowing.
Yeah, I thought that's still, obviously it's a good analogy for the situation he finds himself in, but I just thought it was quite a specific one with what we know about Dabs.
Could be Nick and the King of the Mountain match from TNA.
I'm going to make another good move.
It's got penalty blacks as well.
Double blacks.
I'm now worried about whether this match will get the heat. Knowing how long these pay-per-views go, knowing what Jay White can do in a main event.
Predictable main events have suffered that in the past in AEW, haven't they?
You know what? Like, the creative, I don't think has been anywhere near as strong. Like, some of this falls on Jay White as well. What's he actually said that's really interesting or detestable?
It's good version of Miz catchphrase repetition for me, Jay White.
Yeah.
He often tells you he's the catalyst. He tells you this and he tells you that. But has it moved the story along in any given week, or is he just reading his?
I would say right in like something like, "Be my Valentine," okay? Like, I'll give you your own goddamn scar. Like, all these quotable lines from these big, great AEW big promos, right? I reckon if I put you on the spot in a month, I'll say, tell me one thing Jay White said throughout this build. You'll never get it.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's not just a catchphrase.
Yeah. You'll never. Yeah.
I've got tofu in my head, and that's not his. That's
yeah.
So. But let us know your thoughts on aside from.
He's so good in the ring as well. International champion Jay White. I'd like that next year for a few weeks.
Yeah,
like, you know, him just doing these great matches, just squeaking by, just like people desperate for him to get dethroned. But he's not a top guy, I just don't think.
Well, let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section or on X at WhatCultureWWE. Well, actually, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling wherever you get your podcast from for daily wrestling podcasts. Me and Andy will be back later on to give our predictions on Full Gear. I'll get Sidge's predictions on the Collision preview tomorrow as well. And all going well, we'll be doing a live, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
Full
so.
Gear review on Monday on YouTube as well.
Throw your takes into the chat.
Yeah. But one way or another, we'll be doing a review on Monday of Full Gear. But for now, this has been the AEW Dynamite review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.